Welcome back to Reddit Tree. Today we are back with another question for you all. What is the harshest truth you've ever learned? Comment down below your answers, and here I have some of the most interesting ones. Check out the original post by clicking the topmost link in the description. First answer. It's tragic to see how fast relationships can get redefined. It's painful to learn how quickly a cumulative amount of experiences and love can become dust in the wind moving forward. For me, it was my fault and just changing life circumstances. I lost my two closest friends, and I became somewhat bitter, which didn't help things. They reprioritized their lives and decided I wasn't in that picture. You think that people will give you a chance at redemption, or that maybe they'd give you some kind of hint that you're pushing them away. But that really isn't how life always works. Miscommunications happen, sometimes there isn't any communication, and you're now a stranger. I regret every moment I did end up pushing them away, but what was most painful about all of it is that I never was clued in until I was out in the cold. The cold truth in life is that no one will ever care about you as much as you have the ability to about yourself. If you don't even value yourself, well, no one is going to find it easy to do it for you. Second answer. A big one for me is how many last times you're going to have, and how often you won't realize it's a last time. Things can change so fast. Go bowling every Monday? Have a convention you and your friends go to yearly? Hang out regularly with the same people? One day is going to be the last time it happens, and almost without fail you will not know. Then you go days without talking to someone, then weeks, then months, then one day you realize that you aren't really friends anymore. No major fallout, just your lives are no longer compatible. Third answer. Dealing with this currently. Friends since preschool and basically attached at the hip right up until we left school and went to a community college together. After we got jobs he was harder to get into contact with. We would hang out on occasion but I always reached out and never other way around. He got distant and I asked if he was okay and did I do something wrong. He said it's all okay, then one day he flat out ghosted me. Has new friends now from what I can see. Still not quite sure what happened, but I do not wish him ill and hope he is happy. Hope you are doing okay as well. Fourth answer. I did fall in love with my husband's potential. I just happened to be one of the lucky one in a million it worked out for. 10/10 don't recommend it. Most people do not change. It was a really hard fucking road. Mental illness is no joke. His willingness to seek help and try medication was everything. To anyone out there struggling, please start talking to someone about what you're going through. Life can be so much more than struggle and it's okay to need help figuring it out. Fifth answer. As for grief, you'll find it comes in waves. When the ship is first wrecked, you're drowning, with wreckage all around you. Everything floating around you reminds you of the beauty and the magnificence of the ship that was, and is no more. And all you can do is float. You find some piece of the wreckage and you hang on for a while. Maybe it's some physical thing. Maybe it's a happy memory or a photograph. Maybe it's a person who is also floating. For a while, all you can do is float. Stay alive. In the beginning, the waves are 100 feet tall and crash over you without mercy. They come 10 seconds apart and don't even give you time to catch your breath. All you can do is hang on and float. After a while, maybe weeks, maybe months, you'll find the waves are still 100 feet tall, but they come further apart. When they come, they still crash all over you and wipe you out. But in between, you can breathe, you can function. You never know what's going to trigger the grief. It might be a song, a picture, a street intersection, the smell of a cup of coffee. It can be just about anything, and the wave comes crashing. But in between waves, there is life. Somewhere down the line, and it's different for everybody, you find that the waves are only 80 feet tall. Or 50 feet tall. And while they still come, they come further apart. You can see them coming. An anniversary, a birthday, or Christmas, or landing at O'Hare. You can see it coming, for the most part, and prepare yourself. And when it washes over you, you know that somehow you will, again, come out the other side. Soaking wet, sputtering, still hanging onto some tiny piece of the wreckage, but you'll come out. Take it from an old guy. The waves never stop coming, and somehow you don't really want them to. But you learn that you'll survive them. And other waves will come. And you'll survive them too. If you're lucky, you'll have lots of scars from lots of loves. And lots of shipwrecks. Hey there you, yes you please help me get 50 subscribers, subscribe now to get updated every day. Sixth answer. If it was like that for me, grief would be easy. I can forget people fast in my conscious life. If I don't see someone for a few weeks I can completely lose their existence. When my dad died I had one breakdown of hard crying post-funeral, but overall felt okay about it. I have a weird relationship with death, having been near suicidal or actively having suicidal thoughts for my whole life, so my main emotional feeling for my dad was, good for him. He gets to rest, finally. It took months until he started showing up in my dreams. Not delivering messages from beyond or any of that crap. I have relatives that talk that nonsense and it made me furious. But he was always there. In the background. In my dream I'd be at my parents' home and he would be there, or I would see him in his normal places. And damn near every dream I remember has that aspect. And I wake up and he's not there. He's not in the places he should be. And that is the real grief, that long-lasting pain that feels like you have a holes drilled into your bones. He's still in my dreams. I think it's 6 years ago he died now. But my subconscious always puts him there. I wish I wasn't reminded so much. Seventh answer. I still remember the first time I called my mom on her landline after my dad died. It was about a month after he died. The voicemail answered and suddenly I was hearing his voice again. I just broke down crying. That was really the moment where it just hit me like a sack of bricks that I'll only ever hear his voice from recordings like that. It's been nearly 5 years, and my mom never changed the voicemail because it's one of the few recordings we have of his voice that we know of. Shit, this got me crying all over again. It's like, life goes on and I've accepted that my dad is dead, but sometimes it hits again that he's actually gone and never coming back. Eighth answer. His is one of my fears. Finding the person that you will love for the rest of your life and marrying them, and then, years down the line, them being taken away from you in a heartbeat. Just thinking of that very thing almost makes me sick to my stomach. I just can't stand the thought of that actually happening to people. It makes me sad because it's happened to people. I hope it never happens to me because I don't think I could bear that. Just having your partner there and being able to hear their voice and just being with them, and then the next moment they're gone. You know, I had a hard time writing this comment. Ninth answer. The first time I talked to my dad in any real way was when I was 19, in 2010. I hadn't heard from him since I was 3. He was a non-entity. No one in the family knew where he was that whole time. I talked to him 3 times. Every time, he was drunk. Every time, he had a new phone number because he kept losing his phone or it got broken or something. Our conversations were somewhat meaningful. I asked him the whys and he answered. But it got so hard to keep in touch with him and I was the only one trying, so I just stopped. I figured he'd get his shit together one day and then we could build a real relationship. Then I got the call that he had died. September 2018. Homeless, found leaned up against a building surrounded by vodka bottles. Toxicology report said his BAC was .43. He'd been homeless since he left us. I wish I had tried harder. I wish he had tried harder. I can't ever get that chance back. When I had to deal with all the death paperwork as next of kin, and when I met his community who loved him and told me how highly he spoke of me, I had nothing to say. I was his daughter, but he wasn't my father. It was fucking weird and uncomfortable. I wish I had done more. Last but not the least answer. When my grandmother died a little on the young side and after she had only been sick a month, the shock that it was all over and not a single part of her was coming back hit me all at once one night. The encouragement, the laughter, the way she just adored me even though I did nothing to deserve it, the support she gave me when I failed, the dinners, reading Harry Potter together, going on shopping trips, the beautiful home she made, the gardening advice, the jokes she made, the way she laughed at our dumb jokes and stories and kept us all competing to make her laugh, the Easter egg hunts, the cards in the mail for every occasion, the cookies, the way she'd get annoyed at you for being in her way in the kitchen, the nights she would check for hidden murderers in the cabinets with me before I'd go to sleep in her house. I was easy to scare long into adulthood, the diets we broke together, the phone calls, the big network of friends she had that supported me and were always around at parties as I grew up. Jesus, it was all gone so fast. The part that made me feel sickest about it was that there wasn't really anything else I could do to appreciate it. I took it all for granted because it was. I didn't do anything to earn this strong, adoring, charismatic person. It was like being a spoiled little princess born into a royal family that suddenly fell from grace. Pretty much immediately when she died, our family fractured as she was the one keeping it all together. My grandfather had to move in with my uncle and lost all of his independence. A flood damaged their home when it sat empty. The home my grandmother grew up in and the one she built with my grandfather both were sold this year. There's no lesson to learn from it. I enjoyed it as much as I could, but it also wouldn't make sense to call each other every single night as if time was running out for years and years. I of course wish I spent more time with her, but I also made time pretty much as I could afford to while getting my head above water as a young adult. I could have thanked her more or seen her more, but it never would have been enough that when she died I wouldn't feel like I was falling off of a very high shelf. I'm so sorry about your spouse. I have no idea what that pain must be like. My husband and I have been lucky together, but we have suffered a lot of loss over the years. We used to think of the dreams where we were visited by dead loved ones as cruel to wake up from, but now we cherish them as the only opportunity you get to spend time with that person again. I hope you are visited often in your dreams by her, and I hope you can find a peace there.